And how you guys doing? This is important too in reference to the history and the crimes of these government people. I'm not their race and I'm not their religion and I'm not their child, I'm not their property. Somebody needs to look up information to find out what race and religion these satellite controllers are and what race and religion these dictator people or politicians or government people are that have tried to steal from me. These people tried to play their puppet game. I'm not your race or your religion, government man. And people need to look to see how many unemployed people of their race of these people there are. Because I'm not your puppet. I'm not your slave. You don't own me, government man. Do you understand what that means? You're trying to steal what my parents and grandparents built and owned in this country. I'm not your slave, government man. You don't have no right torturing me with your satellite or causing me injuries or damaging things on my body. You need to find somebody in your own race to call your fucking servant or whatever, government man, because I'm not your servant. And I'm not your slave. I'm not your property. I'm not your child. I'm not your race or your religion. And I don't work for you, government man, or whatever person you are. You are violating American labor laws with your satellite crimes. They have tried to murder me and injured me on every fucking job in Indiana. Do you understand that? And in other places, they've tried to do things. Well, mainly in Indiana, it's been the worst. Some people might say, or it's been bad in some other places too, where they've tried to injure me or they tried to murder me. But they're all tied in with the same criminals. Do you understand that? My mouth is my mouth. My teeth are my teeth. My nose is my nose. My anatomy is my anatomy. I'm not your slave. The reason why I say they should check to see if anybody in their race is unemployed, whoever these people are, because that means maybe they should boss one of their own race around. Maybe you should play puppet games with your own race, government man. I'm not your race. I'm not your child. I'm not your property. And you're violating the ethnicity and race and religion that I am. And you're violating friends of mine. You're violating the history of my freedom, my public life, my private life, my social life. And you've been stealing revenues from me for a very long time in the billions of dollars, haven't you? What race are you, government man? You're trying to steal my social media from me. And then you tried to use an impersonator to steal my revenues? How many people in your race is there? Why don't you steal from your own race, government man? Quit stealing from me and my race and religion. And in reference to other ethnicities that like me, this is, just general points of information in reference to this satellite man trying to play his mutilation games or his puppet games or torture games, like he's trying to play Sim City mutilation. You ever seen the video game Sim City video game? Where they try to control a person to go to the bathroom, they try to control a person to eat, they try to control a person in every way. You ever seen that? It's like something like the Leisure Suit Larry or Sim City video game. You ever heard of that? It's very important. Why'd you itch my nose? What's that for? What's that supposed to mean, government man? Somebody needs to say what that means. Because you're making these false accusations or false body language accusations. You need to get prosecuted. So in reference to this government man and his game of torturing and abusing and holding people hostage for his sexual fantasies of spying and raping them, this government man, such as them doing this shit to me, they need to get prosecuted. My mother and father had guidelines in reference to what kind of girls I could date, what race and what ethnicity, and I'm not going to change that. You understand that, government man? I don't know if there's any other new additional ethnicities or races or religions of people that are in addition to the previous list of people that I cannot date and not supposed to socialize with people because certain people because they'd be an endangerment. Now I want you to understand, mentioning this information, most people understand like, oh yeah, that's pretty serious. But then yet there still is people that try to do things. How many times these people have terrorized my life? Does anybody know how many times they've tried to rape me on jobs? How many times they tried to steal my identity? How many times did they steal my postal mail and gifts that people tried to send to me from my race and other friendly ethnicities? So in reference to this government man spying on me, he needs to spy on his own race. He needs to find somebody in his own race to be his puppet. I'm not your child. I'm not your property. I'm not your race. I'm not your religion. And I'm not your friend, dirty government man. I'm not your friend, satellite man. You're violating first world country laws. What race are you and where did you come from, government man? With your satellite shit and your manipulations and abuses. And your violent crimes with satellites. And your sex crimes of satellite torturing and burning people's body parts. So where'd you come from? You claim that you're some puppet master of something, but then you're trying to use another person from another race as your pawn or your toy or your manipulations. I'm not your child. I'm not your property. And in reference to all government politicians, they have to look at the financial information and sign documents saying that they've seen what my financial value is. Just in case some politician or somebody else tries to claim that they were richer than my parents or they thought they owned more land than my parents and grandparents in America. Those people got to sign documents. Low Deeds Department and Treasury Department. It's very important information. So in reference to this government man and his mutilations, claiming he had an image for some other race, like he claimed he had some stereotype image that he tried to confuse my race and religion with in his mutilation crimes. Ask that government man what race he thinks I am. Ask that government man what religion he thinks I am. If he gets it wrong, have him arrested. Because it is clearly documented. Clearly documented. In American government and in the Treasury and in corporations who I am and who my parents are. So who are you, government man? You're the man trying to make up lies to confuse people in America. And you need to go into court. You need to get ordered into court for your manipulations and your abuses and your financial fraud of stealing from me and your activity of trespassing on me and my anatomy and the activity of your people trespassing on my mother and father's residential and private properties